First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I want to thank in particular Mr. Gagden's class, Principal Marshall, and of course the students. Because of you, we wouldn't be here today. I want to thank the media outlets that are here today in our neighborhood associations, City Councilor Dan Rigo, who took the time to come and support this initiative. We also have a whole list of individuals that are going to speak that have been involved in this project from the beginning. And basically, it all started probably 2 years ago when I met Julie Kelly from Mass in Motion, who's going to say a few words on that as well. And she decided that she was going to develop a Fall River Park advocate. I met her. We've been working together ever since. We started our first annual citywide park cleanup, which was a huge success. We then did our second annual citywide park cleanup, which was a double success. We initiated the Adopt a Park program from that. And what we found through the Adopt a Park program, through our annual citywide park cleanups, there was a lot of litter. And once people started adopting parks, started doing the cleanups, they were saying, there's a lot of litter. So one day it was like, you know what, Julie, there's a lot of litter. We should do a litter campaign with the park advocates. So we let our park advocates know, and luckily for me, my husband decided to help me and said, well, why don't we get the school involved and make it more educational so the kids can learn about litter and what litter is. So it's kind of morphed into that. We contacted Durfee High School. We've been meeting with Renee Gagnon, God, probably over a year now, trying to put this thing together.
Correct.
And what I'd like to do basically at this point is have everyone speak and kind of go down the layers of how it happened. That's how it started with me. I'm going to have Julie Kelly talk a little bit about Mass in Motion.
I work for the City of Fall River, and Mass in Motion is a grant that works with cities to improve resources for having people be more active, healthy lifestyles. And because by being more active, more physically active, we reduce the risk for chronic disease. Very, very important in Fall River. And I want to thank all the students that have been involved in this project, because people get out and walk if they feel safe, if they feel the area is clean, if they're encouraged by, the beauty of Fall River. And by launching this anti-litter campaign, you are contributing tremendously to improving the quality of life in Fall River and encouraging people to get out and walk and ride bicycles and be active in their community. So I want to thank you all very much for your participation and your imagination and everything that you've put into this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Let me just say that the first part of this project was designing a logo. You can't have any successful campaign without a logo. That's what's going to happen today. The students, as you can see on the back wall, designed many logos. One logo has been selected. There was a second place logo, and we've also selected a mascot, because you can't have a good, effective campaign without a mascot. The second part of this campaign is actually the marketing of it. How do we market a litter campaign? We've got the logo, but there's many, many, many components to a marketing campaign. And that's where Dave came in with his kind of marketing and teaching and education idea to work with the students. So I'm going to have him talk a little bit about the marketing campaign in our meeting with Principal Marshall.
Thanks, Sandy. As I've told Sandra, and we've talked about this over the last year, this is much more than just a litter campaign. Just as importantly, this is an educational experience. We all know the effects of litter on the city, but more importantly, by engaging the students and getting them interested in the educational processes that we've done here at the high school with certainly the help of Principal Paul Marshall, Renee Gagnon, and most importantly the students, what they're going to learn is not only the effects of litter, but they're also going to learn how to put together an effective marketing campaign. The graphics, the marketing, the public relations, they'll learn about the ordinances, and they'll not only learn about the blight of litter, but they'll also learn about the effects of litter on the city in terms of economic development. Because as we all know, and I know my colleague on the City Council, Danny Rigo, we've all been talking about this, and this certainly has the support of the Fall River City Council, that unless we have a good, clean city, it affects economic development adversely. So not only will we have a clean city, but it's going to be a good place to live, and it's also going to be a good place to do business. So we're very, very excited about not only the litter campaign, but also about the educational component. And I will tell you, these kids have done a tremendous, tremendous job. You will see some very, very creative designs, some very innovative designs, and it's all been done here at Diffrey High School. We have a tremendous resource here, not only with the physical resources, but the equipment that they have, and certainly the extraordinary cooperation that the Principal Marshall and Renee Gagnon here at the school have provided us. Terrific collaboration. This is how things get done in the city, and this is how we'll be effective as a city. So thank you very much.
The next person that I want you to speak and everyone to meet, because you'll be interacting with this gentleman all throughout the campaign, especially the marketing campaign, and that's Kenny Pacheco. He's the Director of Community Maintenance. He's going to give you a little bit of an idea of where that logo's going and how he's going to be able to assist in the marketing part of the next phase. Kenny?
Thanks. I think it's easier to say where that logo is not going to be than where it's going to be. You will see it everywhere that's associated with recycling, with our regular collections. It'll be on all our vehicles that are coming in. As we speak to the city, all the new trash and recycling trucks, it'll be on the sides of those vehicles. The city just purchased 12,000 new recycle and trash bins. It's already on those bins, on the lids of those bins. That's just two of the places. There'll be signage all over the city, don't litter signage, on all of our park signs. We'll also have that logo. Endless number of places that we're going to put the logo. Wherever we feel we can possibly fit it. Has any questions? Gladly answer. Thanks.
Thank you, Kenny. We have a couple more speakers, but what I'd like to bring up is the teacher that put this together for the logo, and that's Mr. Gagnon, Renee Gagnon, to talk about how this all started over a year ago with the logo.
Thanks, Sandy. Sandy and Dave approached me last year, me and my class, to design a logo for the campaign. Now, a logo is something that we've done many times before in my graphic design program. Want to point out that the program has gone through significant changes in the last few years. The computer lab has been totally updated. The addition of the smart board in front of the classroom has made instruction a whole heck of a lot easier. So when they approached us, I began the process with researching other litter campaign logos that existed on the internet. This is generally a base point where all my students kind of get their initial creative juices flowing. After looking at about 50 different logos, each student kind of gravitated towards one design, and we begin to pick apart what works in the litter campaign logo and what doesn't work. The logo was initially designed in full color, but that after learning the process of what was going to happen with the logo, we had to break it down so that it worked in one color. So it's, I mean, a logo project in my program is a pretty common occurrence, but it's great that we can get a process like this that is associated with the real world. Oftentimes with my junior and senior students, emphasize getting out into the real world, approaching businesses, whether it's stores, restaurants, their uncle's construction business, and trying to find opportunities to do real world work. This is a great thing because the student that was chosen is going to get to see how the skills that they learn in this program can be effective and actually earn them money in a real-world career. And I think that's often something that's lost in translation in the classroom setting, because they're so used to me saying, you know, this is important. You need to know how to design a logo. You need to know how to do concept development, design a website. But until they do it for somebody that's outside of school and can see the real-world benefits and the money and things that they can make after high school, I think is secondary. The pride that this student is going to have on a daily basis, walking through the city, seeing his logo on recycle bins and signages on the truck, is going to really instill a foundation that this graphic design program is something that's beneficial not only to the community but to the students and the school in general.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Principal Marshall.
Thank you very much, everybody, being here. First thing is I want to thank Mike Procaccini, who is the Director of Career Voc Tech Ed for the district, especially for the high school, and his push and his determination has helped bring a lot of these things about. And would also like to make the connection. Thank you to the City Council for understanding how important education is for our students. Unfortunately, sometimes things get boiled down to dollars and cents, but this is a real application of what you see when students are supported. So again, thank you for your continued support in the community. I would like to also thank everybody else who is here from city government down to our corporate possibly sponsors in the near future. Again, anytime we have an opportunity to take some of the concepts that students learn in the classroom and turn them into real-world applications and experiences, I'm all for that. Give a real-world problem to students, how they can come up with the solutions. And as a matter of fact, sometimes they come up with better solutions than the adults do because they look at it from a pure sense. The other thing that we're going to be doing is that logo is one thing, but getting the word out and making sure that the logo sticks in the minds and it turns into an action in the community is what's really going to make this program either work or sink. So the logo is a first step, it's a tremendous step. I think it's a great feather in the cap for Durfee. I think it's a tremendous feather in the cap for the program and for all the students that worked on it, whether you won or lost in the design process. Sometimes your design helps somebody else's design become the reality because we take a look at different ideas from different people. So as far as I'm concerned, there are no losers. It's a big win for the program itself. And again, I want to thank the Park Art Advocates for stepping up and asking us to be a part of this. And it's an interesting story too, because once you ask for something, you generally start an open conversation, and from that conversation, we've already developed a couple of other ideas on how we're going to be. We need everybody at the table for education for our kids. So again, thank you.
Dale, the winning logo.
Well,
The right
out of the logos, that these was kind of the final selection. And this design here, do we have it on phone core? Did we? This design here, which was, again, initially designed in full color and then had some variety. And this doesn't mean that this is not going to be a usable version of the logo. It all depends on the printing process. But it was determined that this one, when converted to one color, was still going to read effectively. Some of the other ones had a lot of little details that can oftentimes get lost. The thing about a logo is it needs to work the size of a nickel, and it needs to work 20 feet wide for a billboard. But the smaller version is what's most important. If you shrink a logo down and it becomes part of a letterhead or a business card or a sticker and it doesn't read well, it's not effective. It's not an effective design. So we determined that this one had the elements of the recycle. Not only does the recycle symbol appear and replace the letter O in the word don't, but he then took those forms, the arrows, which is also, in graphic design terms, the arrow is a very effective means of directing the eye. It's just a very powerful symbol. So I think that's what really brings this together. This idea of repetition is also exhibited in this logo with the use of the arrows. The principle of repetition is something that we use a lot in graphic design. And I think it works. I mean, it's a strong design. I mean, I could take this and walk 100 feet away, and you'd still be able to know what it says and what it's all about. And the student that developed it is Brandon Miller, one of my juniors. So Brandon is the one that developed this. He is a junior in my graphic design program. Did I miss anything?
No, you basically just touched everything I wanted to say, like the arrows.
I can tell you that.
And then if you can see the O of the dome is the arrows that I incorporate throughout the designs.
So this idea of repetition, the use of negative text, which is white text on a black, dark colored background, is a great way to emphasize in the black and white version there. I mean, there's no question of what's going on in that logo. There aren't any tiny, tiny details. Everything is strong and really represents what recycling and litter campaigns are all about. So thank you, Brandon.
Great. Yep. Great. Thank you.
Not to sell any of the other students short, there were a lot of great designs. Again, when you're dealing with 55 different samples, I mean, there ultimately has to be one. But everybody did a great job. Seniors, juniors.